Welcome back to the Great Unknown Audio Show with me, Maxim Jennings, and my travel companion and long-term friend, Mr. Nikolai Brown. Nick, how are we doing, mate?
Easy now.
Easy now, indeed. And welcome back to returning viewers. If you are listening to this for the first time, how are you doing? How's your evening going? Did you have a good day at work? How's England? Is it shit? I really hope it is. No, I'm just joking. So this is an interesting episode for us. It comes in a time when we are just finishing our tour of Rajasthan, and it's titled the Rajasthan Review. So over the next half an hour or so, we will go through a few anecdotes from our time in Rajasthan across multiple cities, telling you a bit about the people we met and some of the things that you didn't hear about in some of the other episodes. So I think starting off, let's go through the towns. We started in Agra, infamous Agra episode where Nick and I got our massages. That we went into a quite explicit detail. So if you want to listen a bit more about the Agra, the Taj Mahal, and everything else that came with the town, then make sure you tune in for episode 5, absolute belter. And Sonu, our driver, and I, we had a running joke throughout the time where he was touring us around that Nick, my friend, you did not take a good massage. Nick tried to spin that a few times and he didn't know what to do. So that was fantastic. After that, we went to Ranthambore, the Tiger Safari, which was a very interesting experience. Probably the best hotel we stayed in so far, don't you think?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, yeah. It was amazing. Had a swimming pool, we didn't use it, but the garden was nice, breakfast was good.
And the safari was good.
Yeah.
And we saw a tiger.
Yes, which you called a Noor tiger. Yeah. Just to correct Maxim on that fact, there is no such thing as a Noor tiger. That was the name of the tiger. It was in fact a Bengali tiger, which are common throughout
I did
Bengal.
also say that Bengali tigers were part of the conservation, but it was quite difficult to understand. Our guide at the time, he kept saying it was a Noor tiger, rather than the tiger's name was Noor. Yes, so following Ranthambore, we then went to Pushkar, the holy city of Pushkar, which was an interesting experience.
Filled with cows, hippie outlets, cool restaurants, nice bars.
And a big lake.
And a big lake.
The loads of, say, 60, 70-year-old hippies with Westerners with long hair and very baggy, flowing clothes. And we visited the Holy Temple on a ski lift.
Yeah, which had monkeys and... I think I gave a description of that in one of the other episodes.
No, I cut that out.
Oh, you cut that out?
Yeah,
oh,
too boring.
Too boring. It was quite boring, to be fair. There wasn't much there.
No.
It was just a nice view and a few monkeys eating litter.
But good to experience a proper Hindu holy city.
Yeah.
Always want to
I'm talking about the hill, sorry.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
The city in general was really nice, really relaxing. And Mango's was great. The restaurant that we went to, we met up with one of Sonu's colleagues and dear friends. Manu, who was... absolutely steaming, slurring his words after about 3 whiskies and a couple of Indian cigarettes.
But he had told us that he had 2 British guests at the time and said, "Why are they not like us? Why can he not have a drink with his 2 guests? He wished they were more like us." Which, I mean, it's fair to say we are pretty great. So I guess he felt quite hard done by. Sonu definitely didn't. So following Pushkar, we then went to Jaipur, which was fantastic, where we did the elephant episode.
Yes, the Red City.
And and also we did the Fighter film review there as well. So if you listen to that, a shorter episode, but short, succinct, and filled with our guest speaker Sonu. Absolutely fantastic review, 10 out of 10.
I feel the nation.
I felt the nation too.
I felt the nation. Which one?
I feel the nation, that's what he said, in the present tense. But also, one thing we forgot to mention in Jaipur is that we met a celebrity, and not an Indian celebrity, an English celebrity. Such a strange occurrence, one that was obviously not planned. He hadn't listened to the audio show and arranged for us to meet. If you can guess who it is before this description, then well done you. So he was there with his wife as a special guest for the Jaipur Literature Festival. He is at least 6'7", I'd say. Wears glasses. works in TV, is a very intelligent man, and our last fun fact is a die-hard Fulham fan. So, based off that description, can you guess who it is? No? Who was it, Nick?
Richard Osman.
Mr. Richard Osman from BBC quiz show and knowledge connoisseur. Richard Osman. Fantastic man. Nick and I were walking down the street after visiting one of Jaipur's many attractions, and we were on some sort of, not back alley, but it was a very quiet street. And about 60 or 70 metres ahead of us, a tall, striking man starts walking towards us. And I go to Nick, is that Richard Osman?
Nah, surely not.
And I go, no, it definitely is Richard Osman. I know. He's a lifelong Fulham fan. I've got a way in here.
Excuse me, sir. Are you Richard Osman?
Well, as a matter of fact, I am. No, he didn't say that. He said, yeah. Well, obviously, of course you are.
Are you bloody blind? You can't see me!
So, yeah, we saw Richard Osman. Fantastic man. Very interested in what we were doing on our route around Rajasthan. Lifelong Fulham fan, like I was saying. So, we had a route in there because, obviously, my dad, the one and only Dr. Ondi Sport, Hugh Jennings, works at Fulham. And so he knew who my dad was, so it was a great in. And he said that my dad was the only one who was making any money for the club at the moment. I'm not entirely sure if that was true, but it was a fantastic response to him knowing who he was. So Hugh, big props to you. Keep doing what you're doing. And hopefully next time you run into Richard at the cottage, he might remember who I was, as a matter of fact. Because in true Jennings fashion, I did not ask for a photo because no celebrity, when they're walking around in public, wants to take a photo with you. They might want to have a conversation with you like a normal human being, but they probably don't want to have a photo with you. So tip 101 from Jennings there. So Jaipur was a fantastic city. And it was, unfortunately, where we said goodbye to our driver, Sonu. So Nick, would you just tell us a bit about Sonu and what kind of person he was?
Yeah, Sonu, great man. He was our driver, our guardian for the whole of Rajasthan. Well, most of Rajasthan. He drove us through 3 different cities. Showed us all the cool places to go to, where the cool kids hang out, all the best places to eat, to drink, to visit. Yeah, he laughed with us, he drank with us, he ate with us. He liked to drink this whiskey, this Indian whiskey. Usually he'd add only water, no mixer, just water and whiskey. Wasn't that good, to say the least. And he also liked to consume powdered petroleum. It was like this tobacco mixed with like some kind of petroleum. That's what it said on the packet. So instead of smoking or having snus, you'd swash this tobacco powder around your mouth and then spit it out. It seems like a lot of Indians have this thing because you always see Indians gobbing and then there's like a big brown sludge that comes out of their mouth. It's quite revolting, to be fair.
And you, at one point when he was taking it, after asking him what it was, decided to search up the ingredients and then read out the ingredients to him as he's got it swirling around in his mouth.
Not that he cared, because he thought it was basically his vitamins and minerals.
Yeah, well, it might well be. You never know.
But he was a great man, and I do miss him dearly. He's invited us to his home if we ever go back to Delhi. And I, of course, have invited him to my house when I get a house in about 10 years' time, probably. And yeah, we gave him a review. Although the last time we saw him, he went straight back into entrepreneur mode and asked for a tip.
Thoroughly deserved tip.
Thoroughly deserved tip, but it was like he was a different person. He just went off. He was like, oh, thank you.
Well, the one thing we have learned throughout Rajasthan is that these people love capitalism. They are business-minded and business savvy. They know when they can spot a deal, or if a moment is arising where they have the chance to entice you in at any point, then they strike.
And the classic line, the opening line is, "Hello, where are you from?" And of course you would say, "England," to which they usually reply, "Lovely jubbly," which is a saying some of you older folk probably say more often than we do. But it was interesting to hear them say lovely jubbly, because I never really say lovely jubbly. It's something that the older generation usually says, and I reckon maybe their forefathers passed it down to them.
It's a fantastic saying. It should be brought back into common tongue. So yes, following Jaipur, we then went to Jesselmeer, where we took our first sleeper train. Around 11 to 12 hours. We were in third air conditioning class, the lowest of the sleeper class, where we met a lovely woman who was from a town outside Jesselmeer, but had studied at Manchester University and spoke very good English. The first female entrepreneur that we had met, and she was very well spoken, very kind, and very observant of her country, but also very much enjoyed the weather of Manchester, which most tourists absolutely hate. So good on you, Saloni. We had a very good chat for a few hours or so before she had to get off. And then we arrived in Jesselmeer. What was it called? The Golden City? City of Desert?
Yeah, Golden City.
The Golden City. Had a fantastic fort in the middle of the city, which had a lot of people living inside, which is very rare, I think, for the majority of forts that we visited. But it was, other than the fort, a bit lackluster.
Yeah, not much going on really.
No. Although we did find a really good spot for tandoori chicken.
Oh, best tandoori I've ever had.
Finger-licking good tandoori chicken.
Fit.
Yeah, really good. And obviously that was where we did the desert safari in our most recent episode, stargazing. So I hope you enjoyed my whispering tones on that one. And the first instalment of What's That Hum? And that is where we met our almost second most important character of our travel so far, a German individual by the name of Karl.
The Carlinator.
The Carlinator, who has a very interesting family background. Karl Jonas.
Ludwig Jonas.
Yes, whose forefathers were the founders of Deutsche Bank, the very successful Deutsche Bank from the 19th century, I believe.
And the first to engineer the jet engine.
Yes.
When they worked for the Nazis.
Very interesting.
He had a fascinating history.
Yeah.
Really fascinating history.
A very kind man who we did the camel safari with, and refused to be beaten by us when it came to drinking beer.
Although he was beaten.
He was heavily beaten. Sorry, Karl, if you're listening to this, you were beaten by two young English studs. But there's always next time. And we had a fantastic time with Karl outside in the desert in Jesselmeer, and then we ran into him again in the city before he was going to our next city, Jaipur. And then somehow, just out of the blue, whilst Nick and I were having dinner on our final night in our next city, Jaipur, the Blue City, we were having...
The kind of Blue City.
The kind of Blue City. We were having a selection of different curries. And as we are enjoying our food with some local music in the background, two hands hit the table. Hello, it's Karl again. And we ran into Karl, and we spent the night together. Not in a sexual bed with a bed sense. We spent the evening together. We had a very enjoyable
just dug
time.
yourself a big hole there.
No. Everyone knows that spending the night together can mean a multitude of things. So we had our food on a rooftop restaurant, and then we headed to the Bob Dylan Cafe, which was a very eventful evening. We had a few more beers, and we were joined by a man by the name of Asif, who was a very talkative gentleman, and he had a very good story about meeting an English celebrity. Nick, who was that English celebrity?
Yeah.